morning, enjoying this wonderful Tuesday. Hope everybody had a blessed Monday. For those of y'all that don't know me, I am conscious. For those of y'all that do know me, I'm conscious. It's good to see y'all again. I'll be taking over for my wife this morning. Of course, she's not feeling well and is resting at the moment, so I'll be doing this live for her. Today, I'm going to talk about the process of love and why love is a process. Well, let's get into it, shall we? So I'm going to start with three Bible verses. Two Bible verses going to be coming from, two Bible verses are going to be coming from First John. The other Bible verse that I'm going to do is coming from First Corinthians. All right, let's get into it. First Bible verse comes from First John chapter 3, verse 18. It says, "Let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth." This verse explains that. That verse explains that. I'm just letting y'all know. Okay. The next Bible verse is from First John chapter 4, verse 7. It says, "Our lives are the process of love being made complete. But we have a perfect love already in us when we love God, and God knows, and He loves us." The last Bible verse I'm going to get into is First Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8. And it reads, it says, "Love is patient, kind, and is not arrogant or rude." I'll read that again. First Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 through 8 says, "Love is patient and kind and not arrogant or rude." So let's get into what I was talking about when I was talking about the subject. So, why is love a process? Well, let's get into it. Because love is a process, because in order to love in any type of way, you have to put God first. And you have to be able to love and focus on healing. The second reason is love comes from within. It comes from within yourself. You have to love yourself more than you love anything else other than God. A lot of people, a lot of people these days do not love themselves. They feel insecure in some types of ways. They feel unhappy with their lives. They don't have a lot of confidence about what they're doing or how they're going about things. And it makes it very hard for them to focus on being able to love in any shape or form. Another reason is you have to be honest with yourself before doing anything else. That's the third reason of how love is a process. You have to be honest with yourself before doing anything else. Because if you're not honest with yourself, then how can you love in any type of way? You have to start with yourself. And fourth, you have to be patient. Patience is one of the biggest keys when it comes down to love in any type of way. You have to be very, very patient. If you rush anything, you won't heal properly. If you rush anything, you'll track backwards. If you rush anything, you won't be able to do things in the ways that you want to do them. And you'll keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. You have to be patient. Now I wrote down what I feel like love means. I broke it down in my own way. The L in love stands for live. The O stands for overcome. The V stands for value. And the E stands for embrace. You have to be willing to live. You got to be willing to live your life. You got to be able to be happy in any type of way that you can without tearing yourself down. You have to be willing to stands for overcome. You have to be willing to overcome. You have to be willing to do what you need to do to knock down any obstacles that are stopping your heart from being pure, and knock down any obstacles that is stopping your heart from being willing to be open to love in any type of way. V stands for value. You have to have value within yourself. You have to know that you're worth love and that you're worthy of it. You have to know that you can love. You have to know that you're better than whatever people are trying to paint you out to be, or better than what you thought you was. You don't have to be stuck in one place. E stands for embrace. You have to embrace love. If somebody gives you love, or if you receive love in any type of shape or form, even if it's from somebody giving you a nice compliment, you have to be willing to receive, because some people are not willing to receive love in any shape or form because they're so negative minded or stuck in the wrong place. Now, when it comes down to love, I don't just mean, when I'm saying love, I'm not just talking about like, romance and all of that. Y'all gotta understand there's different kinds of forms of love out of here. Different kinds of forms of love. There's self-love, there's romantic love, there's love from others, and there's love for the things that you do in your life and the passions and the goals that you have. Again, I tell y'all again, there's different kinds of love. Love is not in just one shape or form. And I tell you exactly what I think those types of love are. One, self-love. Two, romantic love. Three, love for others. And four, love for the things that you do in life and your passions. You have to understand there are different types of ways to love in this world. But when it comes down to having different types of ways to love in this world, you have to figure out exactly what type of way that you want to love when it comes down to anything. Now, the reason why I say to y'all that love is a process, because it truly is. Let me tell you something. When it comes down to love, you have to be willing to love yourself first. You have to be willing to love yourself first. Let me see. You have to be willing to love yourself first. Self-love is the best love. Why do you have to be willing to love yourself first? You have to be willing to love yourself first, because if you do not love yourself, you cannot love anybody else, or you can't have any type of love in your life, regardless of what type of love that is, because love comes from within self first. Before you can do anything when it comes down to love, you have to work on yourself more than anything. The second thing is, when it comes down to being willing to want to love yourself, if you don't feel like, if you feel like this, I'm having a hard time with trying to be confident. I'm having a hard time with trying to accept the way my life is. And I'm having a hard time accepting, being happy within, or having a hard time with trying to find my confidence or figure out who I am. You have to be willing to open yourself up to God, because God gave you the heart that you have. You have to ask God to help you to be willing to be open to healing. You have to ask God to help you to be willing to be open to love. You have to ask God to help you to be willing to figure out how you can be a better version of you. It starts with God, but it also starts within. The second thing is, when it comes down to love, you really, like I said before, you have to be patient. A lot of people are not patient when it comes down to love. Like, especially these days in this generation, a lot of people are not patient. For one, they're not patient with themselves. Two, when it comes down to finding somebody, people get lonely. They be like, oh, I'm so lonely. I'm so tired of being lonely. I'm so tired of going through this. I'm so tired of doing this. I'm so tired of doing that. And they get to a point where they're willing to just settle for anybody. You do not want to settle for anybody when it comes down to who you give your heart to, or who you allow into your life to receive your heart, because soul ties are real. I say that again. Soul ties are real. You don't never know what kind of bones somebody else is carrying. You don't never know what kind of evil spirit somebody else is carrying. You don't never know what type of energy somebody else is carrying. If you allow the wrong person in your life, the wrong person can drain you of that happiness that you have, or that happiness, or the person that you are. You do not want to let the wrong person in your life to come into your life and drain you or make you lose yourself. You have to be patient when it come down to love. Another thing is, like I said, you have to work within yourself, because, like I said, a part of love is being willing to love others. You never know, if you go out and somebody says, "Oh, I like your outfit," or that I thought that what you did for that person was nice. If you're not happy, you might respond to them the wrong way. You might get mad and be like, "Leave me alone. I don't want to be bothered." Or you might spaz out on them for the wrong reason, because you're not happy within yourself. But you never know. When somebody gives you a compliment, if you love yourself, then you can love that person enough to say thank you. Or if you love yourself, you can give somebody else a compliment. Like I said, that compliment that you get to somebody might make their day, might make them happy, and might you never, because you never know what somebody going through. But like I said, there are different types of ways to love. Sometimes loving is giving somebody a nice compliment, even if it's a stranger. Sometimes loving can be helping somebody out with the groceries. You have to have love in your heart to be considerate. Like I said, it's different forms of love. You know what I'm saying? So, in the end of the day, love is a process. One of the biggest problems these days is people do not take enough time to heal. People get their heart broken and they be willing to jump into relationships so fast. They don't take the time out to heal, try to figure out what went wrong, why did it go wrong. They don't take time to focus on themselves, get over the fact that they was hurt by somebody, try to find the confidence to love again, try to find the confidence within themselves. They just keep going through it again and again, and then they wonder why when they jump into relationships, why they can never be happy in that relationship. Even if they meet the right person, they might give them a hard time for the wrong reason, and end up missing out on a good person because they did not take enough time to properly heal from the past of their past relationship, or they didn't take enough time to heal from past traumas that they've been through in their life. You have to take time to heal. If you want to love properly, if you want to love in any type of way, healing is one of the biggest things that you have to be willing to do. And healing is a process. Healing takes time. Healing does not have a time frame on it. Healing can take a year. Healing can take 2 years. Healing can take 3 years. You never know exactly how long it takes to heal. But like I said, the problem is a lot of people do not take enough time out to heal. And then another thing is, a lot of people do not take enough time out to focus on their relationship with God, or ask God for help. You have to be willing to open yourself up to God and ask God to help you through whatever you're going through. You have to be willing to ask God to help you to overcome any battle that you're facing. Don't find yourself being stuck all the time. God is here for you if you're willing to ask Him to be. God will always guide your footsteps, but you have to be willing to open up your heart to God and ask for that guidance. Love is a process. And then it's important to be patient when it comes down to love, because you want to make sure that the partner that you find loves you back the same way. You don't want to find your partner who has their own problems and cannot love you back, or partner who's always upset and wants you and just constantly taking it out on you. No, you want to make sure that you find the right person. You have to take your time in order to do that. A lot of people have a lot of different things that they've been through. A lot of people have all these different things that they're carrying on their shoulder, all this weight. Ask God to take that weight off your shoulders so you can be able to have a clear mind to try to think, so that you can try to love the right way, so that you can have a clear mind to be able to live your life the way that you want to. Don't never let nobody tell you, "Oh, you've been single for this long, or oh, you're always angry. You should do this and do that, or don't never let nobody tell you exactly what you need to do when it comes down to becoming a better version of yourself. Don't never let nobody tell you what you need to do in order to be happy. Don't never let nobody tell you how long you need to go about trying to be happy or better yourself. Take your time. Love is a process. Nothing happens overnight. It doesn't. If you think that you can just snap your fingers overnight and you're going to be okay, you're not. If that was the case, the world would be a better place right now. We'd all be happy out here. The world would be a better place, but the world right now is going through ups and downs. The world right now is full of sin. The world right now is a confusing place. It's confusing for our children. It's confusing for us sometimes. There's a lot of unhappy people in this world right now because of the simple fact that a lot of people are not taking their time when it comes down to love. Like I said, one of the biggest things I'm gonna tell y'all, one of the biggest things is self-love. That is one of the reasons why the world is not happy right now. Self-love is very important. You have to be willing to love yourself. You have to be confident. You have to be willing to say, I like the way I look. Even if you know that, or something like this, you have to be willing to know that even if you don't have the best job in the world, you have to be willing to be happy with the fact that you even have a job. Everybody's too busy complaining about this, complaining about that, or my life is like this and is like that. Everybody too busy trying to watch what the next person got going on instead of focusing on themselves. People get hurt, they go through things, people experience things, and instead of them focusing on doing what they need to do to love themselves, instead of them going to God and asking God to help them love themselves so that they can be happy, or help them to take steps that they need to take so that they can be a better person. They're too busy trying to worry about the next person or worry about everything else. You have to love yourself. There's a lot of people right now who are losing their lives because they aren't happy with themselves. You have to love yourself. Self-love is very important. Love is a process, but it don't matter what shape or form of love that you go after, what shape or form of love that you're trying to have. You can't have any shape or form of love if you do not love yourself first. Self-love is the best love. It's important because let me tell you something. When everybody else leaves you, when this goes away, when that goes away, when certain things are not around, in the end of the day, who you gonna have? You're gonna have yourself. That's why self-love is very important. Don't never let nobody tell you how to love. Love yourself first. Another thing is you have to know, you have to know that you are capable of love. You have to be able to tell yourself, I am capable of love. I know I deserve to be loved. I know that I can love others. I know that right now I am this way. I know that right now I've gone through this. I know that right now I'm hurting. I know right now my life ain't perfect. But I know that I can be better. I know that I can love the way that I want to love. I know that somebody can love me the way that I deserve to be loved. A lot of people do not feel like they can be loved. A lot of people do not feel like they are loved right now. And that's why there's so much disappointment going on. That's why there's so much sadness going on. That's why there's so much misery. You have to know that you are capable of love. If you do not believe that you are capable of love, there is no way that you can love yourself. If you do not believe that you are capable of love or that you can love, there's no way that you can have any type of love in any shape or form. You have to know that you are capable of love. That is very important. When you know that you're capable of love, one of the biggest things that you should do, I can't stress this to y'all enough. I said this like towards the beginning. You have to be willing to talk to God and ask God to help you when it comes down to finding love in the type of way that you want to love to be. You have to be willing to ask God for help because God put you on this earth. God knows you better than you know yourself. God knows exactly how your life going to turn out. God knows what you're going to do with your life. So you have to be willing to ask God to help you when it comes down to the type of love that you want. Because like I said, there are different shapes and forms of love. Now, for those of y'all who are just joining, I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to get into this. First, I'm going to get into the way that I just broke it down of what love is, and then I'm going to tell y'all the different shapes and forms of love, at least what I believe different shapes and forms of love are. Because like I said, it's different kinds of forms of love. One, L stands for live. You have to be willing to live your life. It doesn't matter what goes on. It doesn't matter what you're feeling. You got to continue to live your life and enjoy it to the best of your ability. O, and love stands for overcome. You have to know that you can knock down any obstacle that comes your way. You have to be willing to fight through the good and the bad and overcome any hurdle that you may face. V, value. You have to know that you have value within yourself. That's where confidence come in there. You have to understand that you are a valuable person and that you are worth something. E stands for embrace. You have to be willing to embrace what you've been through. You have to be willing to embrace your past. You have to be willing to embrace everything because everything that you embrace, when you take it in, you embrace it, it helps you to be willing to accept it. So once you start accepting it, you can start with being able to heal. You can start with being able to do what you need to do so that you can be able to love. You don't want to live your life being upset. I'm going to tell you straight up, you don't want to live your life being upset. You don't want to live your life being stuck in misery. You don't want to live your life sitting around crying. You don't want to keep sitting around crying because the more you sit around crying, the more you sit around being upset all the time, you drain yourself, you drain yourself, you drain yourself, you drain yourself until you have no energy left. You drain yourself until you have no happiness left. You drain yourself until you're not able to be the person that you want to be, or you do not recognize yourself. You do not want to turn into that person. That's why you have to go through the process of healing. That's why you have to go through the process of doing what you need to do so that you can be able to love no matter what shape or form that you're trying to love in. Again, I'll break down exactly what the different types of forms of love are. One, you have self-love. I talked about self-love. Self-love is very important. Very, very important. Number two, you talk about romantic love. This romantic love. Having somebody that love you and that you can love back is very important. It's not a requirement in life, but it's something that we all want. And having that is priceless. Love is priceless when it's real. That's my opinion on that. Then you have love for others, being willing to compliment others, being willing to uplift others, being willing to um just be good energy to other people. That also. Then you have love for the things that you want to do in life and your passions and your goals. That's another form. Like I said, love is a process. I don't care who's on this live. I'm gonna tell y'all, for those of y'all that know me, that know conscious, y'all know that I don't care about numbers. I don't care about who comes in. I don't care about who leaves. I come in, I come on this live because I talk to y'all because of the simple fact that I care for people. So I don't care about numbers. I do this for God. I do this for my wife. I don't care about numbers. So whoever come in this live and leave, that's on you. Whoever come in this live, pay attention. I appreciate y'all, but I don't care about numbers. But listen, like I said, love is a process. I remember at one point in time, I'm gonna speak on, I always, when I talk to y'all, sometimes I get deep about my life, or I tell y'all a little bit portions about my life. Like I remember at one point in time, I wasn't able to love properly because I was too busy rushing into relationships. I was too busy, you know, carrying on the hurt from my past, from what somebody did to me. Was too busy carrying on the hurt from the way that I grew up, the things that I experienced, the things that I went through in my life, at my home, growing up, in my environment. I was just angry all the time. So it's like when it came down to loving somebody, I could not love the right way. Even when I came across the right person or the right partner, I could not love the right woman the right way she wanted to be loved, because I was carrying on a whole lot of hurt because I did not heal properly. This is why healing is very important. I can't stress this to y'all enough. I didn't take time out to heal, and it caused me a lot of problems throughout my life. When it came down to being nice to others, when it came down to people being nice to me and doing nice things, when people would try to help me with stuff, I didn't know how to accept help because I was so angry. I didn't know how to trust. I didn't know how to be willing to embrace anything because I was always upset because of the damage from my past of how I grew up, or because of the things that went through. I was not able to use my manners. If somebody did something for me, I wasn't able to say thank you, I appreciate it, or go about it any kind of way. Why? Because I was too busy carrying on the hurt. Because for one, I didn't ask God to help me to be able to open up my heart so that I can love myself and be able to love other people or love anything. And also because of the simple fact that I was still stuck on the hurt from the past. If you stay stuck on your past, how can you have a future? I say that again. If you stay stuck on your past, how can you have a future in any type of way? Your past, if when it comes down to your past, you have to heal from your past. You have to go through that process so that you can be able to let go of any type of hurdle that you faced in your past, so that you can be willing to go into the future. Being stuck is not good. When you carry on that hurt, when you carry on that pain, it drains you. Not only do it drain you, but it pulls you down like an anchor. It pulls you down like an anchor. Instead of climbing and going up and swimming and being able to try to reach the shore, you're going to keep on being stuck underwater until you drown. You had to be willing to heal. You had to be willing to open up your heart. You had to be willing to love yourself. If I had loved myself the way that I wanted to, or the way that I was supposed to, if I had trusted God a long time ago, I probably would have been in a better situation in life today. And when I say in a better situation in life, I'm talking about, when I say that, I'm talking about like as far as how I make my money right now. I'd probably be doing better because I probably would have been able to do better when it came down to dealing with people, when it come down to business. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to go about it. I was always mean when it came down to business plans. If somebody said something I didn't like, I had an issue with. I didn't know how to take in knowledge. I didn't know how to do that. And it caused me a lot of problems. Um, if I had been able to love, I probably would have some of the people in my life that I pushed away that were good people. But because I couldn't love properly, I pushed people away. Because I didn't like how people went about things. Because I was angry. I was always paranoid. I didn't trust nobody. I didn't trust what somebody said. I didn't care about how people was moving. I was only stuck in my own selfishness because I thought I had it all figured out because I couldn't love properly. When it came down to relationships, I wouldn't had broke so many hearts. Who knows what kind of damage I caused to other women, and who knows what kind of damage that caused to them, to the point that they probably wouldn't be able to love today. Who knows? But if I had went about loving women differently, I probably would have been in a better situation. But luckily for me, I was able to change my life around, go through the healing process, do the things that I needed to do to love me so that I can love somebody else. And I am happily married today. I'm married to my wife, Ashley, the chosen one, and she is a wonderful wife, and I thank God for her every day. But look, but like that goes to show you that love is a process. Healing is a process. It took me a while to heal. I didn't just become better overnight. I didn't just become better that fast. It took time for me to get into that type of process. It took time for me to get there. It wasn't overnight. It took me a couple of years to be able to love the right way. It took me a couple of years to get to the point that I can love. my wife the right way, so that when she came into my life, I could love her. Because we separated a while back, but we came back into each other's lives. And when we came back into each other's lives, I was able to love her the way that she deserved to be loved. Love is a process. Love is a process, y'all. It really is. It really is. It is. If people took time out to understand where their faults at, if people took time out to understand why they're not happy, if people took time out for God, if people took time out to trust God, if people took time out to understand who they are within themselves, people would be a lot more happier because they would have the love that they need. A lot, I'm telling y'all, I've said this throughout this live. A lot of times, a lot of the most important ways to love is loving yourself. Because if you don't have nobody else in your life, who do you have? You have yourself. So if you're not happy within yourself and you're by yourself, how you gonna live your life? How you gonna live? You have to be willing to love yourself. When you go out, you have to be confident within yourself. You have to like the way you look. Even if somebody else say, "Oh, you're not, you're ugly, or you're this and that," who cares? Love yourself. Confidence comes from within. It don't come from on the outside. It don't come from this. It comes from what's in here, the heart. Love yourself. Love is a process. I can't stress this to y'all enough. But I'm gonna read these Bible verses again that I started with from the beginning. Then I'm gonna go ahead and get up off here because I gotta get back to my wife. I would love to stay on here and talk to y'all more and more and more and more. I could talk to y'all all day long about how love is a process or the process of love. But I can't. I gotta get back to my wife because she's not feeling well. Okay, so the first one comes from 1 John chapter 3, verse 18. Let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth. That brings me back to what I was saying about self-love. In order to be able to love, you have to be willing to love yourself. But in order to love yourself, you have to accept the truth. You cannot start to process a healing. You cannot start to love yourself if you don't face the truth about what's going on in your life. If you do not face the truth about why you're not able to be happy. If you do not face the truth about who you are, then you will not be able to love in any type of shape or form or love yourself. The second verse comes from 1 John chapter 4 verse 7. Our lives are in the process of love being made complete, but we have a perfect love already in us when we love God and know God loves us. That brings me back to what I was saying about asking God to help when it comes down to love. Asking God to help when it comes down to healing. You can have any type of love that you want in life if you ask God to help. As long as you put God first, you can have any type of love that you want. But again, always remember that it is a process. You have to be willing to take the time out to do it. To heal, you have to be willing to take the time out to embrace the process and go through the process. If you think that you just because you love God, oh, I love God, so I know God gonna give me somebody that I want. If you think that, oh, I know that God, because I love God, I'm gonna be able to do this and do that and do this and that. If you think that love is gonna go that way, or healing or being happy is going to happen like that just because you love God, then you need to look at yourself in the mirror and check again, or go back and do another prayer and reread the Bible, because it doesn't work that way. Love is a process, and it starts with God. God is the only person who can help you to become who you want to be and love in the type of way that you want to love, because God is the one who made you. So God knows who's right for you and who isn't, what's right for you and what's not. The last verse I'm going to read before I get up off of here is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4. And it reads, describe love as patient, kind, not arrogant or rude. So that brings me back to what I was saying towards towards the end of when I was describing the different forms of love or how to love, like I said before, you have to be willing to be patient. If you rush the process of trying to figure out how to love, if you rush the process of healing, if you rush the process of trying to go about doing things in any type of way, you will always track backwards because you don't take time to first. You don't take time to understand where you went wrong at. Second, you don't take time to understand how to fix your steps or your mistakes. And three, you don't figure out how to go about doing things better. Don't rush the process. Excuse me. Don't rush the process. You have to be patient. You have to be willing to go through it in order to become a better person. You have to be willing to go through it in order to love properly. You have to be willing to go through it to do the things in life that you want to do. You have to be willing to go through it in order to have your heart to be pure. Love is a process. Always remember that. Love is a process. Nicole Walker said, "Thank you for sharing." You're welcome, Nicole. You're welcome, Nicole Walker. You're welcome. Like I said, my name is Conscious. For those of y'all that know me, for those of y'all that don't know me, I'm Conscious. I get on here from time to time to help my wife out when she's not feeling well. Because some days she's sick, some days she's okay. So I try to help her out. But I got on here today because it just touched my spirit when I thought about how I became better and how I was able to love and why it was a process for me. So I wanted to talk to y'all about why love is a process. And I thank y'all for coming on here, being willing to tune in and listen to me. And I know that I'm not my wife and y'all used to my wife being on here, but I appreciate y'all taking time out to hear what I have to say. And I hope that what I did today touches somebody. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a prophet or nothing. You know, I'm just a regular person. I'm just a husband trying to help his wife. I'm just somebody that's doing what God put me here to do. I'm doing this because I love God. When God gives me something to talk about, I come on here and I talk about it because at the end of the day, God has done a lot for me. And you always remember, God is the king. He's the healer. He's the ruler. I done did a lot of bad things in my life, and God has helped me to turn my life around. And that's why sometimes I get on here and I do what I do. So when God touches me and he gives me something to talk about, I come on here and I talk to y'all. So again, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank you. Y'all have a blessed day. For those of y'all that's new to this channel, please like and subscribe. My wife, she comes on here. She does these lives sometimes. She also has YouTube shorts, and she also has inspirational videos. So definitely, if you're new to this channel, please make sure that you like and you subscribe so that you can be able to be updated when she comes on here. She posts that stuff, or she does her lives, or does her shorts, or anything else. Y'all have a good day. Y'all stay blessed. Stay prayed up. Remember that love is a process. Remember that you cannot love anybody else unless you love yourself first. And also remember that in order to love yourself first, it's a process. And understand that process does not work without God. God is the king. He's the ruler. He's the healer. He knows you better than you know yourself. Always keep that in mind. Always remember that. Remember, love is a process. Thank you, y'all. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all have a good day.